Over his nearly two-decade run with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin has gotten the absolute most out of many players who had no business being as good as they were. It is a big reason why the team can't seem to finish below .500, no matter how good or bad the roster talent is. While that is a valuable skill for any coach to have, where he has failed at times is to do the same for elite talents. Sure, TJ Watt and Cam Hayward have been incredibly productive under his tutelage, but you could easily argue that they could be even better with a more diverse and creative scheme. He has also struggled to put players in their optimal position at times. The most egregious example recently has been using 2023 second-round pick Keanu Benton as a nose tackle, so much so that it may be time to trade him before he loses any more value. Pittsburgh Steelers' usage of Keanu Benton is wrecking his chance to be a star. The Steelers' selection of Keanu Benton in 2023 was widely viewed as an excellent pick, largely due to his ability as a pass rusher. His quickness and powerful frame made him a handful for any interior lineman to handle at the college level. Those traits have shown up at times in his 2 seasons in the NFL, but the Steelers have stunted his development by playing him at nose tackle for a significant amount of his snaps. He has played a combined 407 snaps at nose tackle over the last 2 seasons, according to Pro Football Focus. That is by far the most of any interior defender on the team, despite a skill set that is ill-fitted for the position. Read more. Jalen Ramsey rumors cool off for Steelers after latest bombshell. He lacks both the size and the technique to handle the frequent double teams that are a certainty when playing the nose. They haven't even asked him to bulk up to make him a better fit for the role, and all signs point to him being the primary nose again in 2025. The veteran defensive lineman should be used much more like the Steelers plan to use rookie Derek Harmon as a true defensive end in their 3-4 front. A trio of Benton, Harmon, and Cam Hayward as ends with someone else, perhaps massive rookie defensive tackle Yahya Black, at nose tackle would be incredible, but that looks like just a dream at this point. Maybe Benton will still manage to break out in 2025 regardless of his role, but the cards are being stacked against him by his franchise. If I were general manager Omar Khan, I would be looking to get value for him while I still can. With the Pittsburgh Steelers finishing their mini-camp, everyone is looking forward to the start of training camp on July 23rd. There are several roster spots up for grabs and some areas on the depth chart that need to be filled. Summer is the time of year when jobs finalize in the NFL, and some members of the roster have an uphill battle to stick on the final 53-man roster. It might not be the end of the road for some Steelers if they are let go by the team, but they're running out of time. The good news is that their failure to stick with Pittsburgh or any other NFL club might not be the end of their football career. The United Football League has become a terrific option for players trying to sneak back into the NFL. The UFL might be the best option for some fringe roster players looking for a rebound. Pittsburgh Steelers fringe roster players could be out of a job if they don't join the UFL. Skylar Thompson, QB. The addition of Aaron Rodgers formally puts Skylar Thompson's future into question with the Steelers. He had a shot at being their third option before Rodgers signed with the club, but now his roster spot is on life support. He isn't going to make the 53-man roster with Mason Rudolph and Will Howard in front of him. Unless a terrible injury happens to someone, Thompson will be unemployed. Thompson would be a fantastic addition to the UFL if he had to find a place to play. He has limited NFL starts, but he played a lot in college. He has some mobility to his game and a strong enough arm to stick in the NFL. It's possible he could sit on a practice squad before joining the United Football League. He would be an upgrade over many starting quarterbacks in the spring league. Mark Robinson, LB. It is time for Mark Robinson to take a step forward as a player. Pittsburgh has been cheering on Robinson since the team selected him in the 7th round of the 2022 NFL Draft. He was a player new to the linebacker position entering the NFL, but that excuse is wearing thin. It's a loaded group at the linebacker spot for the Steelers, and making the team out of training camp will be a challenge. There could be complications for Robinson's football career if he fails to make the 53-man roster with the Steelers. He is a former 7th-round pick, and his lack of progression as a player means he won't have much NFL interest if he gets cut. He might have no other choice but to join the UFL in hopes of turning his football career around. Otherwise, he might have to find another profession. Scotty Miller, WR. Pittsburgh remains in search of an upgrade at the receiver position, and that bodes poorly for Scotty Miller and other bottom-tier playmakers trying to make the club. Miller was with the Steelers last season, but he struggled to make an impact despite the coaching staff giving him plenty of opportunities. Miller is heading into his 7th NFL season, which is an astounding accomplishment. The numbers don't paint a pretty picture for Miller when the final roster cuts arrive. He has a lot to overcome this preseason, and he hasn't caught on much besides his flash-in-the-pan campaign in 2020, where Tom Brady carried him to 501 receiving yards. The veteran receiver is at an advanced age now, and time is running out. His lack of production since 2020 might make him a perfect candidate for the UFL. DeMarvin Leal, DL. Nothing has been smooth for DeMarvin Leal's career ever since he was drafted by Pittsburgh. They took him in hopes of using him as a hybrid defensive player, but that experiment failed. The Steelers tried using him as a defensive lineman, but nothing positive resulted from that. Leal suffered a neck injury last year, which knocked him out of most of the season. It's been one bad thing after another. Leal is in dangerous territory. You can safely call him a draft bust, but that doesn't mean he can't turn things around. He was viewed as a project coming out of college, but he hasn't shown much progress. The Steelers are using him as an edge player going into training camp, but there are no roster spots available at the position. Expect Leal to get a second shot in the NFL elsewhere after roster cuts, but the United Football League could be a perfect place to re-establish himself. The rumor mill has been particularly active in recent days, linking the Pittsburgh Steelers to Miami Dolphins CB JALEN RAMSEY. As of right now, there haven't been any credible reports to give these rumors credence. But one Steelers beat reporter thinks it's at least feasible and worth keeping an eye on. I bet you they're listening. I mean, the salary is not bad. It's a one-year deal really, right? Because I think he has no guarantees past this year, Cabally said via 93.7 The Fans Morning Show. Now, people say, where do you put him? I don't care. The Steelers could make it work with Ramsey in terms of cap and cash, but how much draft capital would they be willing to give up? They angled their entire offseason around maximizing their 2026 draft capital. Not to mention, they already have a starting tandem of Joey Porter Jr. and Darius Slay. Would Ramsey really want to come to a messy situation like that? And how would Slay react to being put into a platoon? When asked about recent Baltimore Ravens signing Jaire Alexander, Cabally said he didn't hear any buzz linking him to the Steelers. Don't you think they would have tried to pursue the free agent option that ended up signing for pretty cheap before pursuing the expensive trade option in Ramsey? Skipping over Alexander and going straight to Ramsey doesn't make a ton of sense if the Steelers actually do want to upgrade the secondary. With all the other uncertainty on the roster, including the WR depth and the progression of the offensive line, the cornerback room has fallen under the media crosshairs over the last week or two. Some are saying it has the potential to be the weakest unit on the team. That's ultimately where the Ramsey rumor comes into play. I'm not confident, absolutely not, Cabally said of the secondary. I think there's potential that's probably more than offensive line, more than quarterback is the one you gotta really look at. It could go south in a hurry. The pessimistic view of the secondary is that Joey Porter Jr. still won't turn the corner with his penalty issues. And that 34-year-old Darius Slay shows his age, while Minkah Fitzpatrick continues to lack the splash plays and Beanie Bishop Jr. shows why he was undrafted last year. But there's another, more optimistic side to that coin. Porter showed during his rookie season that he can be one of the best. Fitzpatrick hasn't made splash plays, but he's also been steady and an overall positive for the team. Deshaun Elliott's extension and the added continuity will only help the entire unit and their communication issues of recent years. Slay played just fine with the Eagles last year. Bishop was among the team leaders in interceptions as an undrafted rookie with a reasonable expectation of growth in year two. Not to mention, the depth is in a way better position with Corey Trice Jr., Brandon Eccles, Dante Kent, and Juan Thornhill. Could the Steelers go all in on Aaron Rodgers and trade for somebody like JALEN RAMSEY? Sure, but it doesn't make the most sense given the current depth chart and the team's reported lack of interest in Alexander. And the current secondary has just as much potential to be a strength as it does to be a weakness. They may like their group more than the media is giving them credit for.